So far we have discussed in detail what is food web and what are the interesting facts related with food chain. So as a continuation to that, let us now move to the next topic. When we clearly observe energy flow diagram or energy flow in a food chain, we can clearly observe two important points. So what are they? Let us see now. As we all know that energy always move from producers to herbivores, herbivores to small carnivores and small carnivores to large carnivores, right? So when we study about the flow of energy in a food chain, the first and foremost interesting point that we notice is energy flow. Energy flow in a food chain. Energy flow in a food chain is always unidirectional. Always what? Unidirectional. I repeat, energy flow in a food chain is always unidirectional. There is a chance of asking a question by the board like this. Energy flow in a food chain is always unidirectional. Justify the statement. So what would be your answer? So if you see here, the answer would be, when energy is flowing from one level to the other, when energy is flowing from one level to the another, the energy which is already flown to the next level is no more available to the previous level. Are you getting my point? Always energy move from bottom to top. The energy which is moving from producers to herbivores, it has to move from herbivores to small carnivores. Never it come back to producers, right? So that means energy flow in a food chain always would be unidirectional. So when they ask to explain this, you have to explain by taking any two trophic levels in a food chain. For example, energy which is flowing from producers to herbivores need to move from herbivores to small carnivores. It will never come back to producers. So, basing on this, we can say that energy flow in a food chain is always unidirectional. Are you getting my point? That is the first point. Second point is, when energy is flowing or progressing from one trophic level to the another, it is no more available to the previous level. When energy is progressing from one level or one trophic level to another, it is no more available. It is no more available to the previous level. That is the second important point that we notice when we study about energy flow in a food chain. So I will explain. Sometimes the board may ask a question like this. When energy is progressing from one trophic level to another in a food chain, it is no more available to the previous level. Justify the statement with an example. So when you get a question like this, you have to take any two trophic levels in a food chain and you should explain like this. Here I am taking producers and herbivores. So when energy is moving from producers to herbivores, or when the energy is progressing from producers to herbivores, that energy is no more available to the producers. It will not come back to the producers again. It has to be moved to the topmost levels. It is no more available to the producers. When it is moving from herbivores to small carnivores, that energy is no more available to herbivores. Understood? So by taking any two trophic levels in a food chain, you have to explain this question in this way. When energy is progressing from one trophic level to another, it is no more available to the previous level. That is the explanation you should give when we are explaining about this energy flow diagram. Is that clear? So that is about what is food chain, what is food web, and how energy is moving from one level to another. And there are some other chances of asking questions by the board also. For example, sometimes board may give you a food food chain like this. Grass is eaten by insects. Insects are eaten by frogs. Frog is eaten by snake. Snake is eaten by eagle. So by giving like this food chain, and they will give available amount of energy at any one trophic level in this food chain. For example, they give here 1000 kilojoules of energy is available at the level of insects. And they will ask you to calculate how much amount of energy is available at snake trophic level. So this is the way of asking a question by the board by giving a food chain. Are you getting my point? Board may gives you a food chain, and at any one point of trophic level they will give the available amount of energy, and they will ask you to calculate how much amount of energy is available at the position of snake or maybe at the position of eagle. As I have already talked with you in the previous video, on an average in a food chain, how much amount of energy is available? 10%. So for example, at the position of insects here 1000 kilojoules of energy is available. So what is the 10% of 1000? 100. At frog how much? Kilojoule. How much kilojoules? 100 kilojoules, because 10% of 1000 is 100. But they have asked at the position of snake, no? So now again, 10% of 100, how much? Here, 10% of 100 means 10 kilojoules of energy is available at the position of snake. So you have to write this. Are you getting my point? So at any position they may ask you by giving this energy available, and they will ask you how much amount of energy is available at any one particular point. For example, snake they have asked, answer would be 10 kilojoules. Now at the position of eagle, if they ask, what would be your answer? 10% of 10 kg, that is 1%. So like this, sometimes you may get some problems related to the food chain by the board also. You should be ready to answer it. Are you getting my point? So like this, you may get number of questions related to food chain or food web or the flow, energy flow diagram. In any way, they may ask you a question. You should be ready with your answers.